want your initial reaction to the vote. Obviously, it's been coming down the pipe, but it's sort of it's real now. How does the phrase Las Vegas Raiders hit you?
Well, it's a little strange, obviously. You know, I personally feel and believe that the Raiders belong in the Bay Area, if not in Oakland, the surrounding area. But you know, they've been trying to work on a deal for years and years when Mr. Davis was still alive to get a new stadium, and that just hasn't come to be. And I think the Raiders and the Raider fans and followers deserve a new stadium. And unfortunately, if it can't be in Oakland or the Bay Area, you know, what choices do the Raiders have but to find a town that is willing to accept the Raiders as a National Football League football team and build them a new stadium?
I'll just ask you: Do you think enough was done on both sides of the spectrum, the Raiders side, Mark Davis's side, and Oakland's side to try to work something out? You think enough was fleshed out?
You know, it's hard for me to say. I wasn't, you know, on the everyday goings of the conversations the city and Mark and his attorneys had during the process. But you know, Oakland basically doesn't have any money. I mean, I don't think there's a question there. It's hard to pass a bond issue for a new stadium anymore. Used to be a lot easier back, you know, a number of years ago. And you know, I don't think Oakland pushed it too hard. And the Raiders were strapped with, you know, the only two-sport stadium, A's and the Raiders. And when the season ended, they had to tear all their stuff down that they had on the walls and everything else. And as the A's took over. And they deserve a new stadium. The fans do. You know, they've had some success. They started to play well again last year, and you know, they need something to look forward to. And apparently they can't get it done here. And even the league said that, you know, the options put out by the city were not viable for a National Football League franchise.
Is there a certain sort of intangible aspect other than the, you know, $750 million that he's getting from the state of Nevada, Mark Davis? Is there something about Las Vegas that's appealing other than that $750 million? Well,
that's something you'd have to ask, you know, Mark Davis. I can't speak for him, but you know, it's exciting. It's exciting. You know, when we went to LA, and you know, I wasn't particularly fond of leaving my home and uprooting and going to LA I was there for 6 years. They were there for 13 or whatever. But when we got to LA, it was like a new franchise, you know, welcomed with open arms. Everybody was coming to the games. It was really a lot of fun. And I think for Mark Davis and the people who've been associated with Raiders for a long time, it's an exciting time, you know, when you get a new stadium and you know, it's your new home, you're playing in a bunch of loyal Raider fans, and hopefully they'll find that base down there somewhere.
You touched on it, but tell me a little bit about, because you're a very important part of the franchise, and you were right in the middle of that move. What was that like, and how did fans in Oakland treat you on your way out of town? And do you think the situations are comparable at all?
A little bit, obviously. You know, the fans knew we were leaving. You know, attendance was down, but this year attendance was up, even though they knew the Raiders. You know, they sold out for the first time in many a year this past season, trying to obviously to keep the Raiders in town. But you know, I really never felt anything from the fans. Some were disappointed, obviously, and they mentioned that to me as I talked to them. But for the majority of fans that I ran into, you know, they were still going to be loyal Raider fans, even though maybe they had to travel, maybe they had to watch them on TV, but they were Raiders through and through.
Now, this is the third time, I believe, in 35 years that they've had to relocate, and there is going to be this lame duck, call it what you want,
right,
scenario where they're going to have to play, from what I understand, at least a year, maybe 2, maybe 3 years in Oakland.
Right.
How do you envision that playing out as far as the support and what the Coliseum is going to look like on a Sunday?
Well, you know, hopefully it'll remain the same as this past year. They're excited about what's going on with the team. We're a winning franchise again. We've got Derek Carr at quarterback. We just have some fine offensive linemen, skilled position people in the wide receiver spot, excellent running backs. Defense needs to get stronger, and they will probably, hopefully, in this draft or through trades. And I think the fans are going to remain. I think they're going to come, and that's what I'm hoping for. You know, I can't see the future, but believe me, these fans are very loyal.
By the same token, there's lots of talk about you know, how the franchise is going to do in Las Vegas, which is a very transient city. It's a tourist city.
Right.
Will the support be there in a place that's not nearly as big as the Bay Area is? How do you see that unfolding?
Well, I think initially it's going to be great. I have no doubt. A new stadium, a new team coming in town, professional football for the first time in Las Vegas area. And I think the hotels will have a lot of junkets, a lot of discounts to bring in fans from the Bay Area, maybe LA, but you can drive from LA, you can drive from Arizona. The only thing that scares me about that is if they have a losing streak like they had in the last several years. And that would really put a damper on things, because all of a sudden people aren't going to spend all that money to travel to Las Vegas to watch the Raiders play if they're not winning. That scares me more than anything else. But, you know, Las Vegas is getting bigger. It's a sprawling metropolis almost, small metropolis, because they need a lot of people to work there. But it's also because of, you know, home prices are less, and it's growing. So hopefully, you know, they can build a base as the years go on.
Someone asked Mark Davis in the press conference today what his dad would have thought about all this, and you obviously have a relationship with his dad. What, in your opinion, what do you think Al would have thought of what's happened?
Okay, number one, he's tried to get a new stadium for so many years, and you know, and he really wanted it in Oakland. He wanted to build a Hall of Fame building or auditorium where people can go to turn on kiosk and watch great players and plays over the many decades of the Raiders. Paintings, posters, you name it, memorabilia, along with a new stadium here in Oakland. That's what he wanted first and foremost. Couldn't get it done. That's why one of the reasons why he went to LA. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, playing the Coliseum with a lot of promises that they were going to, you know, rebuild it and modernize it, but that never happened. So he came back to Oakland. But I think he would be proud of a new stadium. You know, 3 Super Bowl victories, 2 other times in the Super Bowl. You know, they deserve a new venue, a new place to play, as do the fans.
Last thought: is this a sad day or a happy day?
Oh, I think it's a sad day for local Bay Area Raider fans. There's no question about it. You know, I don't particularly want to go to Vegas, but you know, that's where the franchise is going, and that's where I'm going. But yeah, I can see how people would be very disappointed. You know, these fans are great. I don't care how they dress, what they look like. They are great to be around. And you know, we'll get to a hotel at 11 or 12 o'clock at night on the road back east, and they're there right at the hotel greeting the Raiders as they come off the bus into the hotel. They're super fans, and hopefully they'll continue to support the Raiders. We'll see.
You think they'll travel?
I think many of them will travel. You know, when we're in LA, a lot of the Oakland fans came down to LA every weekend for the home games, and vice versa. When we came back, got a bunch of Raider fans in the LA area. They come down every week for a home Raider game.